Hi everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk Scents. And we have two really well-known design houses, but also fragrances here. And you may be thinking, well, this is nothing new. And essentially that's what this is. And I hopefully will bring out and release some sort of mini-series that I feel is relevant and on topic, but interesting to myself, of classical all-time great fragrances, ones that we possibly can still get hold of and order that might have been reformulated slightly but still have that beautiful DNA that takes us back. I know this may not get a lot of likes or clicks or whatever, but if you do, I appreciate it. And I've been umming and ahhing about whether or not to release a similar style of fragrance video focusing on the more unique, well, not unique, the more well-known houses that have had fragrances for some time. And these two in particular have been around for many, many years. It may not float everyone's boat because everyone wants to know the next best thing, dupe, clone, designer release, niche release, and it's just full on the next best thing and the next thing, and it feels like we're always forever chasing the next best fragrance release, and that leaves us all a little bit downhearted because we can never live up to that hype. Majority of the time, as you can see from my videos, I am all about the absolute truth on how I feel fragrances come across to me, and I try to remove any hype and bring realism to that. And that's what this is about. My realistic opinions as to why I'm displaying in front of you two fragrances that are not only well known, but I feel deserve a place in my opinion, if it means anything to you, of being two of, and there may be more positions available. Add yours to the list in the comments below, but these are one of my few all-time great fragrances that are yet to be topped and will always, I believe to be on that top tier fragrances for the scent profile and how the individual notes come together and are blended. So I want to remove from this video any kind of emphasis on projection or longevity, and you'll know why, because one of them doesn't really tick any of those boxes. But I do understand and I appreciate projection, longevity are important factors for fragrances, particularly if some of you and some of us are spending X amount of money and building a collection and so on. So I'll go into it anyway, but I'll give you the reasons why I feel from YSL, the original L'Homme, the silver cap bottle with a fairly light, and I know there's so many other flankers to this. I do actually have many, if not all of them, but many. I've got about 4 or 5 flankers of this across the line. But the original L'Homme was my first purchase from the YSL L'Homme line, and I still feel out of them all, this is the one that I absolutely adore and love. It's a very nice, simple, I say simple, it's just well blended. I actually wouldn't call it simple because there aren't many dupes or clones of this out there. Maybe because no one has tried it to do it in a sense, because it essentially doesn't project or last that long. But the scent it gives out, for me, maybe it's just I'm really pleased by the note profile, because some of these two do share similar notes. They're not the same profile, however, but they do have some. Now this L'Homme, for those of you that are probably still yet to try it, maybe not, maybe so, it does have a nice opening ginger crispy note to it. I wouldn't say it's overly ginger, but it gives it a little bit of that bite, refreshingness to it. But the thing that does come across in this is its vetiver, is its aromaticness, but it's not overly aromatic, and that's where I find the other flankers to L'Homme line do go towards being stronger in the aromatic scene. This for me is a fresh, clean, crisp fragrance that a gentleman wears, that a person who's really well put together. It is explained probably better by Cuba. Most of you know Cuba knows, and he bangs on about not this, but whenever he does feature it, he is so surprised. And he mentioned it's been around for around 20 odd years. It's one of their all-time, possibly bestsellers, but it's one of my favorite ones that I will never, ever take off my top tier list. The problem is, yes, it doesn't last. Yes, it doesn't stick around for too long. And it certainly doesn't project that much. So due to that, hence the dent, do end up overspraying it. By the time you sprayed and left the house, you might need to respray again. I just wish they could, but maybe there's a reason. Maybe they can't get the same scent profile and amp it up. Maybe that's why clone houses and dupe houses haven't managed to release, or the Middle Eastern fragrances haven't released their own version, or maybe it's just too old to go back into the archives to do so. They may have forgotten about it. But getting the gentleness but crispy nature of the aromatic touches within this, the beautiful ginger, I think you get a bit of alternative doses in there. I'll show you the bottle here. But as I bring up some of the notes, because I'll be honest, I don't remember them all myself. But yeah, you get ginger, bergamot and lemon off the top. Supposedly there's some violet leaf in there, and that's what I feel softens the balance of it up. It supposedly has some tonka bean. I don't get much of that. I definitely do get some seeds, and I get lots of vetiver. I love vetiver if it's done right in a fragrance, and that's where I feel I gravitate towards. But I feel just this profile that L'Homme gives out is just so well done, and it probably gets a beat down because of its longevity, because of its less projective nature, because it doesn't last throughout the whole day. But essentially, I genuinely think it's an absolute masterpiece of a fragrance that hasn't really been replicated at all. Like I said, I've got other versions of this, and many of you gravitate towards having an appealing factor to the others. But for me, L'Homme, the original, is always going to be a masterpiece of a fragrance for me. So I'll spray it on standard. I love the bottle design, standard sprayer really. Oh, you can't get a more cleaner smelling fragrance than this. This just screams, I'm well put together. A nice crisp shoe. You can wear it wherever, on any occasion. That's the beauty of this. Just to smell nice, on a special occasion, you know, just generally to be on a casual appearance as well. Day, night, evening, any day, any kind of, I'd say, any kind of time of year, any season, you just smell absolutely amazing. And it's one of those scents you have to get close up to appreciate. Maybe you want that, maybe the occasion you're going to, and you want that, you don't want to be beastly performing. You may want to be in an office or a suited meeting environment where you need to perform and do well, and you might want to leave a nice impression on the people you're around or with, and that's where something like this will do. It won't blow them out of the room and make them think, wow, that's way too strong or too much, but it will be so intriguing, so pleasant, so nice, so clean, so fresh, so aromatic, so gentlemanly like. It will really make them want to come closer and get much more of a smell. It's absolutely beautiful. Yes, I wish it lasted longer, but maybe that's the beauty of this fragrance. They couldn't get it as well blended or as appeasing to my nose or most people's noses if they had to amp up the projective nature or longevity. Maybe that's a trade-off you get, but I don't care. That's a reason why I wanted to shine some limelight onto L'Homme. And moving on, I would say similarly, but it's not so much, because I actually get a good amount from Dior Homme. Again, this gets a bit of hate because there's so many other flankers and reformulations of this and different versions. I do appreciate the intents. I'll go make another video on that. That has a lot more iris than this, but this also has a powdery nature to it, but it has a fresh, clean nature that really bites you. It has, again, that note of vetiver in there that really appeals to me. Now, many of you do appreciate the cologne, the sport. This is the simple Dior Homme EDT version. I believe it's a 2020. Relatively new. I've not had it for too long because, again, I fell into the trap of trying to find clones and dupes that met this profile, and there are none. There are ones out there, but they don't come close. They don't give you that smiling patch, and that's what these two really stand out about. I am all for Middle Eastern house and fragrance cologne brands and so on, but I've not found a good enough clone or dupe for either of these. I've not found a fragrance that puts a smile on my face as much as these two have done on the most regular occurrences. And again, I'd go back to it being a really beautiful fragrance that can be pulled off any time of the year, any day of the week, for any occasion whatsoever. It's absolutely beautiful. It's sensual. It's a little bit more projecting. Oh, it is more projecting than the YSL L'Homme. It will last longer than YSL L'Homme, and it's got a slightly different kick and scent profile towards it. So I will load them up, but I'll show you again. The Dior Homme, the Dior bottles are almost artistic pieces. They are so clean and fresh and well done. I can't remember where I sprayed the other one, so this one will go on the, let's do it on the other wrist. They always have great sprayers. Nothing too over the top, but enough to get you the scent you need onto wherever you're spraying. Oh, now this, I'd say is more fresher than L'Homme, less aromatic, but fresher than L'Homme. And not too much more so, but it's within the same kind of park and field of that. Again, let me bring up some of the notes, because it's got a bit more of a muskier, woodier nature that also attaches itself to that zesty freshness. Again, you get bergamot off the top. Pink pepper gives it a bit of the bite and elemi. In the mid, you've got Atlas Caesar, cashmere wood and patchouli. And then it's the ISOE Super, the Haitian vetiver and white musk in the base. And I think the white musk and vetiver, along with that bergamot, brilliant, brilliant concoction and ingredients and use and blend of actual notes. Now, I think that's where my appreciation for these two scents really lies. And this is where some design houses for some fragrances have some all-time greats. It's when you realize how well blended the fragrances are. And that's where these two, I think, if you were to talk about well-blended fragrances in terms of their notes, where you just have such a transition from the opening to the mid to the base, and it goes well so together, they don't really stand out too much. You can't tell, oh, this is the opening, this is the mid, this is the base, like you can in many other fragrances, and particularly the Middle Eastern designer houses. With these, if that makes sense to you, it's an all-in-one package from the top to the mid to the dry down, and it's so well blended you can't even really tell to yourself when it's transitioning from one to the other. You're so appeased by the notes and the smell, well, I am anyway, that you appreciate it from first spray. And the reason why you get a bit cheesed off with it is because you possibly don't smell it for as long as you want it to. You want that smell to go forever. And that's unfortunately a place where we're at with a lot of these beastly performing fragrances that are being released. You don't get that here. So before I finish off, what I would like to say is let me know what you think. Leave your comments, opinions. What do you think of the two? Would you add anything more to the all-time great list? Again, just on notes and the pleasantry smelling nature of the fragrance. Forget about longevity. Forget about performance. Forget about projection. I just want to know about the smelling DNA, the nature, the notes, the profile of the fragrance that you want to add to the list. These are my two all-time greats. Dior Homme Intense EDT 2020 and L'Homme from YSL. Absolute beautiful fragrances. Thanks guys. Get your samples, get everything decanted that you require from the links below, and let me know what you think. Take care. Bye bye.